afternoon to everyone. Spring is here, the flowers are blooming, the bees are buzzing. It's a perfect mood to refresh our minds and imbibe nature's stories. I'm Swedel Sirejo Shivkar, moderator for today's virtual talk. Welcome to the 34th Member Enrichment Program on Learning Lessons from Nature by Dr. Parvish Pandya. At Indian Women Scientists Association, IWSA, a unique initiative was started in July 2020 to enhance the knowledge of our members and deepen their sense of understanding of environment. A learning garden initiative, the Member Enrichment Program is a virtual platform where prominent personalities, scientists, researchers, and educators share their experience and research to enlighten and enrich each one's minds and set us on a path of more awareness and respect to various faculties. I welcome Dr. Paramjeet Anthappan, who is an active member of IFSA headquarters Vashi and currently a freelance educational consultant. She is among the board of trustees of Dr. Dhala's Felicitation Fund, former principal in charge of Bhavans College, and retired as head of the Department of Microbiology in 2017. Around 50 students have successfully completed their MSc, MPhil, and PhD dissertations under her able guidance. Paramjeet ma'am, please introduce IMSA to everyone.
Thank you so much, Swedel, for the kind words and the introduction. So, good evening, good evening to each and everyone logged on to this online platform for the 34th webinar under the aegis of IFSA's Science Awareness Committee's Learning Garden Initiative of Member Enrichment Program. I'm indeed very fortunate to have this opportunity to be in the role of a pivotal or fulcrum or bridging point of two very great institutions or organizations that have impacted my life. That is the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, from where both today's speaker, Parvish Pandya, and myself have shared journeying together almost for 4 decades, and IFSA that has been impacting me ever since my retirement. Let me begin with IFSA that has been introduced in every session of our MEP. IFSA was founded in 1973 by 12 visionary women like the 12 legendary numerals of the clock of time, including our ever-smiling, motivating Dr. Sudha Pade, whom we are blessed to have for almost every activity of IFSA. The others include Dr. Lalit Narurkar, Dr. Kusum Arjungi, late Dr. Sumiti Bide, who was also our first IFSA president, late Dr. Bharti Bhatt, Padma Bhushan, late Dr. Kamal J. Randive, late Dr. Sindhu Joshi, Padma Shri, late Dr. Shanta Gandhi, late Dr. Shantu Gurnani, late Miss Vidya Khubchandani, late Miss Rajni Roy, and late Dr. Premlata Thomas. These founder members have immortalized IFSA through both their footprints on their journeys of life and also the unique footprints of their contributions. IFSA has been fulfilling its five-fold objectives, including taking science to the masses, developing a scientific temperance society, promoting scientific accomplishments among women scientists, understanding problems of women in science, and also with the provision of solutions for their empowerment, being a representative of body of women in science and technology. Through these two-winged programs, IFSA has been fulfilling its objectives, the wings which include under the banner of science programs and community outreach programs. Details of the same can be obtained from our website, ifsa.net. Coming to our speaker for today, I have been associated with Parvish for almost 4 decades, as I already mentioned, especially beginning with both our departments being housed on the same second floor of our historic building, like IFSA's two-wing programs. Parvish was on the west, has been on the west side, and I on the east side. In togetherness, we have seen many sunrises of glory, of of lot of accolades, of achievements, and we have also learned many lessons from so many sunsets to take us further on our journeys and in all our achievements. We have been integrated through common beliefs for imparting holistic education to our student learners, both in and beyond classrooms. Later, we got even more connected at OOPS, a jargon which we lovingly call the Office of the Principal, where we got many more opportunities to understand, respect, and work with each other for many more goals. Again, with the underlying belief of Bhavans that the whole world is one big family, and wherein we all need to contribute with noble thoughts flowing to us from all directions. So welcome, dear Parvish, and everyone logged in here. Your topic of today reminds me of the poem Leisure by W.H. Davis, which we learned at our school. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. No time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep and cows. Yes, now for the remaining, I'm sure, Parvish, everybody is eagerly awaiting to listen to you, to enrich their lives of poverty, and also to impart them with all the lessons through nature. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Antappan, for your introduction about this esteemed organization, which was started in 1973 by the women and for the empowerment of women. Now, let me introduce you all to our today's personality to have Parvish Pandya with us. Dr. Parvish Pandya was a former vice principal and associate professor in zoology at the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavans College, Andheri, Mumbai, from 1982 to 2018. Since August 2013, he is a consultant director for science and conservation with Sanctuary Nature Foundation, Sanctuary Asia, and Cub magazines. He is the coordinator for the MSc program in Biodiversity, Wildlife Conservation, and Management at Bhavans College. And he was a part of the five-member committee which has designed its curriculum. A PhD in zoology and a senior academician, Dr. Pandya has been teaching at various levels for more than 40 years. He is a resource person in the fields of nature, environmental systems, biodiversity, climate change, and teacher training programs. He has a tremendous passion and commitment towards nature and environmental conservation and has passed on his interests to students, teachers, corporate personnel, decision makers, defense services, industrialists, and the lay public. Through talks and other media, he enthralls his audience who also develop a great admiration towards wildlife and nature. Dr. Pandya is widely traveled in India and abroad and currently trains teachers in international schools in major internationally recognized curricula. His passions include photography, music, singing, traveling, yoga, cycling, trekking, meditation, and organic lifestyle. His ex-students are currently in the fields of environment and wildlife and many such related professions. In December 2010, he was conferred the prestigious RBS Sanctuary Green Teacher Award. He is a bird expert, plant, mammal, reptile expert, and much more. A field man, he believes that the best education is imparted in the forest. So now here we are to listen to a quintessential teacher, an excellent mentor, and a wonderful guide. Welcome, sir. Please enlighten us with your innumerable wilderness experiences. Sir?
Thank you. Thank you, Cyril. Thank you, Paramjeet. First of all, I would like to say a big namaskar to my three teachers who are here, Nagambal teacher, Tripta teacher, and Rajni Diwan teacher.
And you have Margaret teacher also here.
Oh, Margaret teacher is also there. Wow, this is a real surprise. So I bow down to them and offer my respect. And all what we are today is basically because of the teachers that we have had. And I say this because my students also say the same to me, and I appreciate and understand the role of teachers and how teachers have motivated us to do a lot in life. when Trupta teacher asked me for a talk, this talk I made specifically and only because of this invitation that Trupta teacher told me, that if a teacher is inviting a student, then what should the talk be? I was thinking for some time. And that's when I thought that why not say that the universal teacher is nature. So if the universal teacher is nature, and if I have learned from my teachers as well as the teacher nature, then why not have a talk for everyone where I'm talking about how we are learning lessons from nature. So this is how the entire talk materialized in my mind. And let me tell you, I made this entire talk just because of this lecture that I was going to give. And this was almost a month and a half ago that I made this talk. So I would like to now go into the presenter view, presenter mode, and I will, yeah. Can everyone see my full screen? So I will.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
As I said, learning lessons from nature, and of course, as we all say, Mother Nature. Uh, One more reason that this talk came to my mind is because when we apply for jobs, or you must have all seen at some point of time or the other, when you're writing your CV or your resume, at that time you write about your strengths. These strengths are nothing but adjectives, and you can say words that you write for your own self, and these are kind of glorifying your personality and so on. Well, glorifying, I'm saying that's because we all know that when we write about our strengths, we always put a little bit extra into the words. So I thought that why not talk about these words that we use in these CVs and presentations, and talk about these as to how we all right, and how we can learn lessons from nature. Okay, so I have adjusted these according to alphabetical order so that there is no much discussion about that. Adaptability to changes. We all write that we are highly adaptable and so on. This is the larva of a tiger butterfly, in fact, a plain tiger butterfly, and it is feeding on the leaves of Calotropis, which is called milkweed. And these milkweed plants have got poison in them. So the poison gets incorporated into the larva. So the larva is adaptable to the poisons which it is eating, and it can tolerate the presence of these poisons in its body. In fact, if a bird eats this larva, then it can develop nausea, it can have six of these larvae have been fed by scientists in laboratories, and then they have seen that it's possible that that bird even dies from the larva. So the larva is capable of adapting itself to the poison which it is eating. And imagine these very same gulls migrate to Mumbai. Well, actually, I would also like to say that all these, the strengths that I'm using today in the PowerPoint, even I can use one animal or one plant to to talk about each and every strength, because each plant, each animal has got bundle of these adaptations, bundle of these words in its body. But I would like to talk about, for each adjective, I would like to talk about a different plant or an animal. So let's go ahead. Adaptable to changes. Look at these brown-headed gulls. I had taken all the pictures I've used in this PowerPoint are my own pictures because I'm a photographer myself. I love to take pictures everywhere around. So these are brown-headed gulls that I had photographed in Ladakh. And imagine these very same gulls migrate to Mumbai. If you go to Haji Ali, if you go to Warsaw, if you go to small white mirror in their black wings. Okay, so these are brown-headed gulls. So how wonderfully adapted they are to temperature changes. In Ladakh, it can go to -5, -10, but in Mumbai, it can be 30 degrees. So they are highly adaptable to changes in temperature. We all say, I'm a wonderful administrator. I love to I can lead people, and I can lead teams, and so on, we write in our CV. But do we know that administrators are found in monkeys, that is primates, as well as in elephants, where you have a matriarchal family, and the female is the leader of the entire group or troop, as we call in monkeys. So here you have this administrator. This is a Hanuman Langur, and Valmiki, when he wrote Ramayana, he had done the entire study of behavior of these langurs, and that is what is reflected in Ramayana. So what is that? Now, when these langurs are found in wild, they are seen to have two different troops. The male troop, which has females and young ones, and in that troop, there is an alpha male. Alpha means, the first or the prime individual, and that alpha male is the leader. He is the administrator for the entire troop. He takes care of the females, the young ones. He's usually a supreme as far as even manpower, or you can say monkey power is concerned, or animal power is concerned. He can easily beat other langurs to shame, and that's why he is a good administrator. So here, survival of the fittest is literally for being highly muscled, highly stamina powered individuals which are found, and these are the administrators. I'm sure you've heard about this word altruistic. And this word or this adjective, not every human being can use, because altruistic means putting yourself in, you can say, in danger, and helping the entire troop species to survive. So one example in human beings is soldiers. They are standing at the borders, and they are saving our country all the time, 24 by 7, 366 days. And they are altruistic because they are risking their life, because the entire human beings of that country can be saved. And this is very true. It is seen even in honeybees. You must have heard that there are worker bees which go around and they save the entire hive from any intruder or any attack. What the worker bees do is they have a sting at the end of the abdomen, and they insert the sting into an intruder or a predator, so that that burning sensation makes the intruder run away from the beehive. So it's saving the beehive. This is what is altruistic behavior. Okay. Analytical skills. Look at this small crab. It's called ghost crab. It's found all along several sandy beaches, including Jew Beach, where I had taken this picture. And I'm sure you know that every day the tide is delayed by 48 minutes. So the crab has the skill of analyzing that it's not the same time of the day that there will be low tide. Every day the tide is delayed by 48 minutes. So if today the low tide was at 9 o'clock, tomorrow the low tide will be at 9:48. Now imagine the crab has the analytical capability bestowed, of course, by Mother Nature, that it can gauge, it can make out that every day the tide is going to change, because as soon as the tide recedes at low tide, it makes its small burrow, it brings all the mud balls outside, meticulously rolled into a kind of a ball, and then it leaves them out and makes its burrow deeper, because just for those 6 hours, it makes the burrow, it makes an entire territory of its own and guards its territory. Its territory might be just about 1 square inch or 2-3 square inches. That's it. That's its own territory. So analytical capabilities that you can see among the crabs. Creativity. This is a bonnet macaque. Bonnet means, in cars we have the bonnet. Bonnet is like a cap. So it has a cap. And I'm sure you know monkeys are highly creative. Once I had taken my children to Elephanta Islands, and my daughter was sipping fruity from a Tetra Pak with a straw. And there came this monkey from the tree, swiped his hand across, took the Tetra Pak away, went to the tree, and then started sipping the drink from the Tetra Pak with the straw. How creative they are. They know exactly what to do. I'm sure you know about the creativity of monkeys using long sticks as tools to probe into ants' nest and use those sticks so that the ants get adhered to the stick, and they remove the stick and they eat all the ants, feasting on these ants. So monkeys, several animals are highly creative. Communication skills. This particular tiger was sleeping at Tadoba when I took the picture, and I wanted to take the picture of the pad which is below. Each pad is a communication to the other males and females that this territory is occupied by the size of the pad will tell the tiger or the tigress that this territory is occupied by a big male. In fact, tigers and tigresses have fabulous communication skills. This communication is not only with the pad, but you might have seen tigers climbing with their lower legs on the ground and the upper legs, the four legs as you call them, on the tree. Now what they do is they reach as high as possible in the tree and they produce a scratching with the nails. One function of this scratching is to sharpen the nails. Second function of this scratching is that when the next male comes to that territory, he will also put his front paw and nail on the tree, and if the previous tiger was longer, it would reach its nails higher. So the next male can use that to find out whether he is taller or the previous tiger is taller. By that, the tiger can come to know that if this territory is occupied by a larger male, that means taller because standing on the two, and so on. So this is, see, they are not physically present there, but they are communicating with each other. I mean, the males, you might have seen these videos, they urinate on the trees and bushes, and with the urine, they throw out chemical molecules. These are called pheromones. And with these pheromones, the tiger is telling the other tigers that I am present here. This is a territory occupied by a male. The female, when they exude those pheromones out on the bushes, they are trying to advertise to the other males when she is in heat. Fabulous communication. I can talk about the tiger and its behavior and all for 1 hour, but we don't have that much time. Competency. How does the word competency come up? Competency comes from competition, and competition is very well seen in the peafowl. The male, which is called peacock, attracts the females, which are called peahens, and each male has got very colorfully adorned tail feathers, which it fans out so as to attract females. At one time, the male may attract 5, 6, 8 females, and so he moves around with a harem of females along with him and guards these females so that other males do not snatch them away. So the competitors are kept away. The females will not go away because that male has got more colorful feathers, and the more colorful feathers are because the peacock has found time to preen, to keep the feathers tidy, neat, clean, hygienic, all the terms that you can use out of that. And that brings about the competitors to be kept at bay, and that's how competency is seen in the peacock, which is the male peafowl. So fabulous. Competition is avoided. Okay. This bird is called Kaukal. Earlier name was crow pheasant. It belongs to the group of cuckoos. We learn in our school that when we say exceptions prove the rule. So here all cuckoos make nests. I'm sorry, all cuckoos don't make nests because they leave their eggs in other host birds, okay, except this fellow, Kaukal, which has decided it is its own species decision maker that I am going to be different. And what is the difference? Kaukal makes its own nest. So it's an exceptional cuckoo. All cuckoos lay their eggs in other host birds' nest, whereas this bird has decided it is a decision maker that it is not going to be as all cuckoos, it's going to be different. So by decision maker, I'm saying that here the bird has decided that it's not going to follow the same pattern of behavior which its other clan, other related species, that is the cuckoos, follow. Very good example here. It's called Bharadwaj or crow pheasant. Dependability. I'm sure you know that in this fish, it's a seahorse, it's actually a fish because the mouth looks like a horse, and because it lives in the sea, it's called seahorse. It's not a mammal like a horse. Okay. Now, I'm sure some of you have heard that the female, after the eggs are fertilized, the fertilized eggs are transferred into a brood pouch. Brood means breeding, and pouch means a bag, a brood pouch present in the male. And what is that? Here is that bag in which the fertilized eggs, the male keeps them and incubates them. So the female is dependent on the male for rest of the development of the young ones. And you might see, if you Google today later on after my talk, male sea horse giving birth. So it appears as if the male is giving birth. Actually, the male is only protecting these young ones from the time the egg is fertilized till the young ones are born. So you have videos which are available, which people have shot. So here the female is dependent on the male for the rest of the breeding cycle or the breeding pattern, as you can say, for the animal. Focused. This is a one-horned rhino in Kaziranga. Okay, you have to be extremely careful. Rhinos don't have very acute sense of hearing nor smell, but they can see at a very short distance very well. So they are short-sighted and they cannot see far away. So their focus is on only animals, intruders, predators, which are close by. And once they are focused, they just bulldoze or run straight into the intruder or the predator. That's why forest department people are quite scared of rhinos, especially if the rhino mother is with its calf. So focused is the attention of these rhinos that it can be a threat for several forest department people. You can have a look at, we have one winning image of a sanctuary photographer where one of the forest department person or a villager has climbed a tree to escape from the rhino attack, and the rhino is standing out there. What may appear to you as leaves in a tree, each is a bird. This is an Amur falcon, and your eyes also now need to be focused. I'm using that as an example. In Nagaland, this picture when I took, okay, on one single day, you may not see many Amur falcons. At the most, you might see about 1.5 lakh Amur falcons on each day. That is the number that of falcons they are there. They are all flying in the sky, making a big, huge cloud of birds, and when they sit, your eyes need to be focused to be able to see each bird as compared to the leaves. So all this, what seems to be leaves, some of them are leaves, but many are birds, Amur falcon, and they are so well camouflaged in the trees. So your eye focusing is also very important here. Goal achiever. In fact, every eagle is a goal achiever. So here, this is a crested serpent eagle. It flies over the forest and it has its own goal to be achieved of its nesting, of its roosting, of its capturing its prey. All that it has to achieve at the end of the day or at the end of the week or at the end of the month. It knows how much food it needs. It knows how many food the young ones will need. All that is well understood by the mother, by the males, because the parental duties many a times is done by both males and females. So they are fabulous goal achievers of their own types. Hardworking. I'm sure in school you have learned the ant and the grasshopper, a very famous uh, fable or story which is there in several school books. And they say that the ant is the hardworking individual, the grasshopper just fiddles away, sitting on the top of the roof and playing music. That's how the understanding is. So, hardworking ants. This is a harvester ant, and what you can see here, this hole, okay, inside that, the hole is not straight, but it branches out. At the end of the branch, which is horizontal, are those granaries or chambers in which the ants store food. Now, what they do is they remove the husk of the grains outside and leave them and carry the grain inside and store them in these granaries or these chambers. And God forbid, there are famines, then some villagers dig these ant nests because they know for sure that in those chambers they can get seeds of grasses, and usually seeds of grasses are nothing but rice, wheat, maize, jawar, bajra, and so on. So that's how the hardworking ants have collected grains, and people can use them for tiding over unfavorable conditions. Immaculately dressed. Immaculately means prim, proper, perfectly, and so on. Now, on the right, you can see this is a roller or Indian roller. It's called Blue Jay, mistakenly. Okay. So colorful it is that Dr. Salim Ali, in his book, he was one of my teachers in my college days. I had the opportunity and the rare, luxury of being able to roam around with him. So he mentions in his book that the roller or the blue jay has got Oxford blue and vermilion blue colors which are present on its wings. Trust me, in my previous education, I didn't know what was Oxford blue and vermilion blue until I saw this bird and read about its description in Salim Ali's book. And then I went to Oxford Dictionary and read and saw the hue of color which Salim Ali mentions in his book. Okay, so that's how. So they are all immaculately dressed. They don't decide and say that, okay, today I'm going to go to a grassland, I will dress differently. Tomorrow I'm going into the forest, I'll dress differently. They are prim, proper, immaculately dressed. I've used the example of jungle crow here, but all crows, when you see them, you might have seen crows at the garbage bin, which might be outside your house. Has the crow been differently dressed if it goes and eats garbage, or next moment it goes into a tree and eats petals of the flower or pollen or anything else? No, they are immaculately dressed wherever they go, and they have decided that the it's not like when you are in Rome you will become Roman. Here for them, which means that if you go to a dirty place, you dress dirty and shabby, and when you go to a good place, you will dress better. No, this is a lesson for us to learn. And what is that? Wherever you go, you make your image with the kind of dressing that you have. So you have to be prim, proper, immaculately dressed wherever you go. Don't let the place where you go decide whether you will be wearing dirty clothes or prim and proper clothes. I always jokingly say that when we are doing some, jhapat jupat of the house, or when you're doing some dusting in the house, you'll say, Jara wo ganda kapda dena. When you want to wipe something dirty, you say, ganda kapda dena. I mean, why? So does it mean that when you are going to a dirty place, you will put a very dirty clothes and then you'll go there because you know that more dirt is going to come to your clothes? I mean, that's not what it should be, and that's what they say. You should not use that as a pattern. Leadership. 1 minute, please give me a minute. My daughter's come home and she's knocking at the door. Sorry for this punctuation. Yeah, let's go ahead. So leadership, I was just mentioning that in the lion pride, the female is actually the breadwinner for the family. And that's because the male has got a very darkly colored mane. And because he is one of those, idle mind is devil's workshop, he just eats. And so that's why we say in English, lion's share, because the female does the hunting because she is well camouflaged. So the predators will not be able to see a lioness hiding in the grass, whereas on the other hand, the male lion will be easily seen in the grass because he'll stand out like a sore thumb. So after the female has done the killing, the male will slowly walk and come to that kill and will have his own first meal, and then the others will get, and that's how it happens. So leadership, although the female is the breadwinner, the male is the leader of the pride of the lions. Loyalty. On the right, you can see these are Saras cranes in Gujarat. When a newly married couple goes to an old, uh, bade bude of the village, or the respectable old people of the village, the old people bless the young couple, the newly married couple, saying that, "May you live like the Saras couple," which means that in Saras crane, the moment they start breeding, the couple mates, pairs, bonds forever. That is the loyalty between the male and the female. They always stay together throughout their life. Some people say that even pigeons mate and bond and couple for their entire life, which means they are loyal to each other. So that's a very nice example. Management ability. If you see, this bird is called spoonbill. The way it, you might feel that the beak is so large and it might be cumbersome, but wherever the spoonbill goes, it manages its beak very well, and rather than using the beak straight open and close, it just moves sideways. Thereby it is capable of walking and feeding at the same time. So it can manage what structure it has because of the brilliant ability that it has developed by its behavior, so that it can survive in nature. Maturity. I mean, every animal is mature, but I'm showing this here that a wild boar has the maturity to use its tushes. You know what are tushes? Can you see these tusk-like teeth on the lower jaw? Why? Well, on one hand, these tushes or these tusks or these teeth are used to uproot bulbs which are underground. So they love to feed on bulbs. Bulbs are nothing but swollen roots under the ground. So what they do is they use these teeth to remove the underground mud, and from the underground they can remove these bulbs. On the other hand, it has the maturity to use the same teeth again as an organ of offense and defense. Should somebody go close to these wild boars, what they do is they attack and they can bite with those tushes. I know of forest department officials who have received on their shin bone such a massive bite that the teeth had gone through and through the shin bone. That badly they can bite. Okay, I'm sure you know about the story of the crow who wanted water. The vessel had low lying water, and so the crow put pebbles into the water, and by throwing the pebbles in the water level rose, and that is what helped for the crow to quench its thirst. So it has the mental capability and capacity, and it could use that throwing of the stone to raise the level of water for applying an application for its own survival, or you can say for its own quenching of the thirst. Monkeys are also known to use chimpanzees, for example, their mental capacity and capability, and that's called in behavior as insight learning, to solve a new problem by applying already known accumulated knowledge over a period of trial and error that they have done. So what they did is they put a chimpanzee in a room and they put boxes scattered in the room, and the chimpanzee could put the boxes one on top of the other, and they knew that they could climb the boxes and reach a particular height. Okay, in another room, then they took the chimpanzees and they scattered some bananas around. The chimpanzees learned that the bananas are very tasty. Now in the third room, they hung the bananas from the top with a chain, and they scattered boxes in the room. What happened? Very soon, when the chimpanzees entered the room, they saw bananas hanging up, they saw scattered boxes in the room. They already had learned that by putting scattered boxes, they can gain height, and they already knew that bananas are very tasty. So they put the boxes one on top of the other, and they could reach the hanging bananas and they could eat. So I'll reiterate what I said earlier. Using previous experiences which are learned by trial and error to solve a new problem or a circumstance which they had earlier never faced. And you might say, oh, this is very usual for us. We teach our children to face conditions, circumstances by applying priorly gathered experiential learning into a new circumstance, into a new problem, into a new situation. So we human beings do all the time, and that is called insight learning. And this reflects about the mental capacity and applications of priorly gathered knowledge. Meticulous. Wow. I mean, many people call me, not many people, my children used to call me OCD. Uh, OCD is something that they say that, uh, what is it, Siddhi? Obsessive compulsive
Compulsive disorder.
disorder. Okay. Now, in Western country, what we call OCD is normal. That means people being meticulous. So if you come to my house, in my house, you'll see labels of single bed sheet, double bed sheet, carpentry, electricity work, camping gear, and all that. All the labels are put in my house, and they call me OCD. So that is being just meticulous. What is normal in Western country, So look at this orb web spider. I mean, imagine if it is not meticulous and it misses even one strand of that spider web, the entire web can collapse. Okay, so I mean, fantastic. You should see a spider making its orb web. Orb web means those webs which are, seen hanging out with this intricate, fantastic network that you see. Each strand is very important. Only then the spider can be reassured about the strength of its own web. Motivated. Mistakenly, this animal is called Indian bison. The real name is gaur. Okay, it's a relative of the cow. Fine. Now, the animal moves around in herds, and it is motivated to feed on specific types of grasses, and it can attack. Okay, yes, a full grown bull can weigh something like 1,400 kilos, 1.4 tons. Okay, and it can attack. There are forest department guards who have lost their lives because of the attack. So here, by knowing that in the past, having an experience that some human beings have caused distress to them, these animals are motivated to attack, especially animals who have caused them harm at the previous learning experiential stages of life. I think organic lifestyle every animal has. And what is that? Being less dependent on the resources available next to you. I like to have a lifestyle which is organic lifestyle. I don't want to be a burden on the resources. My children sometimes are angry that I'm wearing the same shirt that I had bought 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I have a good collection, but I don't buy clothes for 10, 12, 15 years because I don't get the bored of wearing the same clothes. But they say now it's all, why? If you don't need clothes, I don't have a car. I don't have a car. For 13 years, Param knows I used to ride on a cycle and come to college every day, even though I was the vice principal. And many of my colleagues or teachers or even students used to say, Are Chingus Marwadi hai? And then they understood, nahi, he is the only person who wants to maintain his health. I mean, I can proudly tell you that I'm 62 years old and I don't have specs. And that's because I have roamed around in nature, I have moved, I've seen birds, I can spot a bird very far away. I don't need glasses to read my WhatsApp messages. I can read the smallest of the font. And that's because I have tried to live an organic lifestyle. And by doing so, I'm trying to be as healthy as possible, as healthy as possible. Later on, it's God's will and my stupidity of not being eating nutritive food. But again, I tell my students, do not eat the food that is cooked by your mother. Eat your grandmother's food. Today I can tell them. And that's because grandmothers know all the kind of healthy food that needs to be served, like poha, shira, upma, idli, dosas. But unfortunately, today's generation wants to eat pizzas, burgers, so on and so forth. And that's where it's not an organic lifestyle. I say that 15,000 years ago, our people must have discovered that if you have this problem in your body, you must eat bangan once in a month, once in a week. Today, what we do, we have converted those foodstuffs which were having medicinal properties into regular food dietary consumption. So I tell my students and several people that all the vegetables that you are eating are very important. Local vegetables, as much as possible, local vegetables. Maybe in the past, our people discovered that they have some medicinal property. Should you be waiting for a problem in your body to eat that vegetable? Maybe today's knowledge does not allow you to understand that. So the best thing is to eat all fruits locally available, all vegetables locally available, and that is your medicine. I've told this to my children and my students, I don't know how many times in my life, but I don't mind repeating that again. And what's that? If you do not eat food today as medicine, tomorrow you will have to eat medicine like food. That many pills you will have to gobble. So better to have an organic lifestyle. Organized. I mean, these are gold-fronted leaf birds, chloropsis as they are called, and they have very organized lifestyle because they know which flowers to feed upon, because based on the size of the beak, they decide which flowers to visit, because only that size beak can access the food, that is nectar, pollen grains, and the petals which are present. So highly organized is their approach towards specific types of flowers and food sources which are available. This is a funnel spider or a tunnel spider. The web is made by these spiders on the ground, and at the center almost of that entire web, which spreads as a carpet or a doormat on the ground, at the center is this tunnel or funnel, and the spider waits there. For what? Should there be an unwary prey which walks into the spread doormat, the vibrations of that prey trying to escape, wriggle out from that web becomes an indication that the vibration goes to that tunnel. The spider comes to know there's something which has got trapped in my web. It runs, catches, jabs, injects the venom into the prey. All spiders have venom. They have a device with which they can inject the poison produced in their body into its prey. Okay, but only difference is that small species of spiders have very little venom. So if they bite human beings, they might cause some minor local burning and eruptions or swellings. So that's the patience. The spider has to wait for its prey. Patience, also seen in several species of birds like these herons. I mean, they just sit there and wait for the unwary prey to come close by. You will feel disgusted, you might feel irritable by losing your patience, but these birds don't lose their patience. They just stay put and wait for the prey to come close by. Only then they will get rid of that yoga mudra in which they are sitting and suddenly jab at its prey. So, wonderful example. Perseverance. Woodpeckers, they go behind their prey. They have to probe into crevices which are there. So, in this bark of the tree, you can see this crevice here. Underneath the bark, there will be caterpillars, grubs, and so on. So, the woodpecker needs to have a perseverance to probe its beak under the bark to get those caterpillars, worms, and insects. Personal appearance. This is an owl moth. Why it's called owl moth? Because it's got this round spots which resemble the eyes of an owl, and it knows that its personal appearance is something which can scare away lizards, frogs, and so on. So what the owl moth does, it sits underneath the ledges or crags of caves and overhanging rock ledges, and there it sits just stationary until a lizard or a frog comes close by. Suddenly, the owl moth opens its wings. Its personal appearance is such that it frightens its intruder, lizard or frog, and before the intruder can decide whether it's a moth or really an owl, the moth flies away. So this it gets as a, it's kind of an escape strategy that the moth uses its personal appearance towards that. Planner. You can see two animals here. On the right is the wild dog. You've already seen the wild boar behind. The wild dogs hunt in pack, and single, the dog is not a danger. But together in a pack, even a tiger is afraid of a pack of wild dogs. They have a planned strategic attack from different sides, and they can pull down even an animal as large as a tiger because of the cumulative attacking behavior that the entire herd has, and that's how they can be a very good predator in the forest. So had it not been for the planning of the attack, the wild dogs would have been at danger. Punctual. Every winter by December, November, December, flamingos come to Airoli, Thane, Mahim Creek, Dharavi, all these places. They migrate from Run of Kutch. Some of them even migrate from Africa. And the dates are so specific, they are absolutely punctual with their arrival in the migratory areas. So much so that Dr. Salim Ali, in his garden in Bandra on Pali Hill, in his backyard garden of bungalow, he had a bird, a wagtail, which used to appear every 17th of September, migrating from Europe and Central Asia. Every 17th of September. So punctual is the appearance of these birds and the migration. So you don't have to be punctual only every day in your office, but also punctual as far as yearly patterns of movement and migration are concerned. Quick learner. I will use the example on the left, which is a red wattle lapwing first. This one, red wattle. Wattle means a naked patch of skin near the eye. A friend of mine, Tej Munkur, he had found the nest of this bird on Law College Hill way back in 1988-89 when I started bird watching. And what we saw is the nest was out in the open on the terrace of the Law College Hill, where because of rainproofing, the contractors had applied tar. Dambar. And you know what the clever bird had done? It had picked up in the month of May when it became too hot in Pune. You know, the temperatures can go up to 40, 42, 44, and the tar melts. And at that time, what the bird had done, cleverly, it had picked up molten tar and with its beak had applied on the eggs. Now, what does it mean? The bird had learned that by having molten tar, the eggs became camouflaged on the tar stripped, striped terrace of the Law College Hill. I mean, so fabulous, so fantastic the birds are. They can learn and they can adapt to several conditions in their life. The bird on the right, this one has got lower beak longer, upper beak is smaller. Now, what the bird has learned, what they do is they fly over the surface of water and in a single line, they dip the lower part of this beak into the water and they trace a line. And then they take a U-turn and now dip the beak in the same line where they have walked ahead, flown ahead. Okay. Now what happens? You know very well that when you do a small touch on the surface of water, it creates ripples. And these touches attract fishes from below. So when the first time the skimmer goes in a line, when it retraces back on the same line, the animals which have got attracted to the previous line, it is now feeding on that food which has come up to the surface. Wow. I I'm amazed how these birds have learned how to feed by these kind of learning. Blister beetle. It is having a differential relationship with others. On one hand, it has to eat the petals of the flower. On the other hand, its color is warning. And what is that? If by chance you squeeze the body of this beetle, out exudes a brownish colored liquid. When that liquid comes in contact with the skin, it results in the formation of blisters. That's why it's called blister beetle. Incidentally, this is the same beetle which is used in South India to extract canthridine, from which canthridine oil is manufactured. Same beetle. The prototype is used to prepare canthridine oil. Now, because of this, the beetle needs to have different relationship with all its neighbors, denizens of the forest, and so on. Okay, so that's what is very important for them. Hanuman langur and spotted deer, they always live together. What the langur does, when it feeds on the trees on the top, it deliberately throws some fruits down, which the cheetal feeds upon. Now, if there's a leopard or a tiger which comes from walking on the ground, the cheetal or the spotted deer give alarming calls. You know, I don't mind imitating it. You might have heard it in the forest. It's "Ow! Ow! Ow!" That's the kind of sound they make. Okay. Please go after my talk is over to a YouTube channel and just type on YouTube alarm call of cheetal and you will hear the kind of sound that I was making. And if they see a tiger or a leopard walking, they will give the alarm call, the langurs come to know. But on many occasions, leopards go and rest in the branches of the trees, which langurs can see, but cheetal below cannot see. So at that time, what the langurs do, they have a special sound, which is alarm call. Alarm call means trying to tell the others about some alarming situation which is present in the forest. So again, in that video, if you get that, you will see langurs make a different sound. Their sound is that's the kind of sound they make. I mean, I have imitated them so often and I know that. So that's how I can mimic these sounds and can update you with these kind of sounds. So relationship is a mutual relationship here between a monkey and a deer, and they both of them survive. Supervisory skills. What is supervision? Supervising means to scout around and to see what kind of area it lives in. Now, Moths have a very sensitive antenna. Scientists say that over a distance of 1 kilometer radius, only 40 molecules of sugar the moth needs to understand the presence of sugar and get directed towards that. So its entire area, it supervises means monitors also, and because it's got very acute and concentrated power of smelling through its antenna, it can gauge the presence of sugar molecules which are present far away, that means at least 1 kilometer away. And with that supervisory skill, it can get guided, attracted, moved towards the source, which is nothing but nectar of flowers, which, because they bloom and the nectar gives out a smell, those smell molecules are present in the air, which these moths can gauge, can understand. Again, time budgeting, I think you have to just think about the animal, and every animal will show time budgeting, because they have to budget the time, what they're going to do during the day. Here, you can see two different types of bugs. They're called cotton bugs, all of them. But look at this one, which has got the black at the end. This has got its wings totally developed, okay, whereas this one, okay, which has got the black on the side, not at the tip of the abdomen, not at the tip of the body. These are wing buds, okay, this is a wing bud, here is a wing bud. Wing bud means precursor or previous form of the wing. Slowly that wing will be developed. So the bugs have a proper time during which the buds will appear, the wings will appear, and later on, because of the wings, they will start flying. Okay, their favorite food is seeds of the silk cotton tree, and that's all timed by these animals. Okay, versatility. We call crabs as the municipality of the seashore. Why? Because apart from live food, crabs can feed on decaying, decomposing, rotten fish and plants, and all the fishermen have caught in their net and they just throw it away because they don't want to eat. So I had the fortune of going to Lakshadweep 7 times, and we saw at night when we were taking a walk along the beach, the fishermen's net, whatever they had caught and thrown on the beach, the crabs were eating all that dead, decaying vegetable and fish and all the bycatch which was there, which the fishermen had thrown out. The crabs were very, very happily feeding on them. Okay, so the crabs are versatile. They have not only one specific focused diet, but they feed on a variety of things so that they can survive. So their diet is versatile. Okay, survival strategy. Once again, every animal shows survival strategy. This is a mud terrapin. It lives in marshy areas. Can you see it's got a neck with which it can break the surface of water and can breathe by lungs mainly, these marsh or mud terrapin as they are called. Apart from having a long neck, can you see this thin nose which is like a snorkel? Okay, so with this pipe, it can break the surface of water and can breathe air from outside. So this is the survival strategy that this mud terrapin has employed. I think every animal and plant will have survival strategy. Okay, you know what is tact? Tact means being intelligent enough to use some of your characters for your own advantage. That is tact. And diplomacy means acting differently with one as compared to the other. Now, this particular plant is called Talim Khana. Can you see these are the spines? Okay, here it has spines, here it has spines, here it has spines. Okay, and at the same point, it also has flowers. So, To the insects which it wants to attract, it has flowers and nectar and pollen grains. But to the predators or the intruders, it has got thorns. Okay, so this is the diplomatic nature. What do we say? Who is a diplomat? A diplomat means somebody who knows to behave differently with different people, applying different yardsticks and giving a very neutral answer, or being in a very neutral way of showing everybody you're good. Whereas here also, the plant itself is using its own adaptation to use for tactics as well as for diplomacy, which it wants to exert and show so that it can survive very well. Okay. Team player, otters are known to play together, and together they hunt for fish. So right from the beginning, they have play, so that each one knows that they have to play and be together to hunt for fishes in freshwater. Without team player or without team play, they will not be able to survive alone. So every individual is supposed to be a team player in the office environment, or where you have other people working along with you. Okay. Self improvement. The coil. Every bird which has got a very melodious call, the male koel, kokida as it's called, has a lovely melodious call. Now these calls, the bird is not born with it. So the young one has to learn and keep on improving better and better and better adapted call, so that it can keep on improvising and become and attain the call of an adult, which is very melodious. Unless it develops a melodious call, the male will not be able to attract the female. So self-improvisation is needed in all birds which have got very, very highly melodious calls, because they have to keep on practicing what we call in Hindustani music as riyaz. Unless they do the riyaz, they will not be able to become better. And riyaz is nothing but improving every day, so that this is a method of self-improvisation. So, as I said earlier, nature teaches us many, many, many lessons, but I have been a good student because of my fantastic teachers I had in school. Not only that, my teachers taught me that you should not cease to be a student the moment you go out of school. I tell, when I introduce myself, I don't say that I am a teacher. I always say that I am always a student, because every day I am learning new and new and new things. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, and if I have the answer, I will be very happy to share these answers with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pandya, for an insightful talk.